Prayer of Transcendence. O great spirit that resides in the kingdom of heavenly consciousness within our body, mind, and soul, holy be thy presence in our awareness as we open our minds and our hearts to the higher consciousness of love. We awaken our earthly direction in life to the universal will of our highest good, accepting every day as our daily nourishment of the presence of your Spirit. By your presence within us, we recognize and forgive others. We accept and know you will guide us away from all that is not in your presence. We embrace your radiant light, for yours is our true inner power and the glory of our true selfhood forever and ever. I know this to be so, and so it is. Amen.
So keeping with the theme of weather.
So good morning. We are in a new month, aren't we? I mean, June, I couldn't believe it. I switched over our calendar this morning and I went, it's June 2nd. Oh my gosh, where was yesterday? So it is a new month and it is a new time and we are in summer. So what I'm doing this summer for all of you is that I've created a series based on the book, The Wizard of Us. So it is by Jean Houston, who's a wonderful author. And what I'm going to lead you down is the yellow brick road. So you're going to know a little bit deeper meaning about those flying monkeys. And you're going to know a little bit more about the Tin Man and about the witch and the good and the bad and the ugly. So we're all going to learn together this wonderful path that we continue down, which is life. It's a journey, truly, all of us are involved in. And it's a fun book. It's going to be 3 months long. And you're thinking, how can she make talks out of one little book? Oh, wait till you see. So the first thing I want to tell you is the theme for the month is it's easier said than done. No, surviving the storms of our lives. And June's theme, being the storms of our lives, is all kinds of things that happen in make weather, all the crazy weather, all the emotions that we tend to go through. Whether it rains, it pours. Remember that? If, things that, continue to happen, there's tornadoes and windstorms and all these wonderful things that we equate emotions with. So we're going to look at that this month and why we don't put up the umbrellas of life. Why we choose to maybe get rained on and enjoy it. Where there's a baptism, we grow. That's why I look at the rain. Rain is a wonderful way of washing things away. Not only do we see it physically on this earthly plane, but we also can see it within ourselves. So today is my favorite subject, getting hit by the spiritual 2x4. And I'm sure most of us have experienced that wonderful little piece of wood. Actually, it's not so little. It is a 2x4. It is a 2x4. So this wonderful piece of wood is something that we tend to get smacked by. And why do we allow that to happen? Well, there are many reasons. Mostly because we don't want to get out of our comfort zone. We've decided that, you know what, wherever I'm at, I'm just great right here. I'm planted, I'm rooted. Everything is just perfect. And God goes, wrong answer. I have a better existence for you, and I also have a higher good. So, if you don't move after I've given you several hints, you get this. Now, God really doesn't use physical violence. Really doesn't. The spirit within us nudges us. And I look at it as the 3 times rule. The first time that Spirit nudges us, it's like it shows us, okay, you need to be on this particular path. This is where I'd like you to go, or you would like to go. But you don't see it because you're in front of yourself. We do. We have this bloating the nothingness of a self that gets in our way, and we act and we put blinders on. So we're not seeing what is really coming towards us. Instead, we look at it as turbulence or whatever it is that's getting in our way, and oh, I can't do with that right now. So then what we do is we say, I'm just going to slide it over here, and I don't have to deal with it right now. And I often think that Spirit is a Scorpio, because one of the traits of being a Scorpio is that you lie in wait for something to happen. You do. And trust me, I've got a Scorpio rising, and what happens is if something happens, you just kind of go, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait until it's my time, and then I'll react. So God does the same thing, I think, is that what happens is it says, you know, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you a pass, but not very long. Because what happens is when you sit too long, you become stagnant, and you become basically, oh, I'm just going to deal with this and this will be fine. And God says, not going to happen on this day. So then the next thing that happens is you get a double nudge. It says, now this, remember this? Okay, now this is what I really want you to look at. This is what I want you to move towards. And then what happens is we get into fear. We're not enough. We put limitation on it. Whatever it is, we come up with some kind of boundary that keeps us stuck where we are. And sometimes it might even feel like quicksand, where we're just slowly being pulled under from whatever it is that we feel that we should be doing, but we can't. Because we don't trust ourselves, and we don't trust our faith in the power of all that is, the source of all that is, that gives us that intuition, that power. You know, my husband, in order to move off his rock, he has to research it to death. He has to beat it. And when he figures out, once he's, what is it? I think he goes to Wirecutter and, a few others, places. And once he's really beaten it down and he knows everything there is about whatever it is, then he'll say, okay, I can do this. And sometimes he even won't do that. He'll still give him, well, I don't know, that kind of thing. So then God says, all right, you've done the research. I've allowed, we're allowing us to work through this as us, whatever. And then it says, enough. I'm done. I'm just going to pull the rug right out from under you. And this is when our little buddy right here comes into action. And what happens is it doesn't physically beat you, but what it does is it pulls the rug out from under you. It throws you across the universe. It puts you into a position where you have to make a decision, where you have to do what you intended to do, but were too afraid to do it. And then after everything is said and done, you go, you know what? I should have done that. We do. We look at ourselves and go, why didn't I do that in the first place? I could have saved myself so much pain. But then again, there's some of us that like to do that. We like to go towards pain. So what happens is with spiritual 2x4s, they usually appear when we, as I'm actually going into, is the crossroads of our lives. What is my next steps? What am I supposed to do? Give me a clue. Okay, and it does. So then we approach that good, that bad, and that ugly part of our decision making. The good, of course, is for our highest good. The bad, as I said, when we decide to not take the nudges, and the ugly is when, as I said, the rug is just pulled right from out from under us. We don't get to make that decision. It is made for us. So there's three types of ways that we sometimes deal with this too. Not only just with the spiritual 2x4, but we have little helpers called running, hiding, and jumping. And the running part is when, yes, we're presented with what is a good idea for our highest good, and we decide that, oh, heck no, and we run away with our hair on fire. And we do whatever it is to avoid whatever it is we have to face it. So we run to whatever it is. We run away from it instead of running towards it. What would it look like if we actually ran towards something? You know, in Africa, the lionesses and the lions work together to get their feeding. And what happens is the lion leads the lionesses usually to a giant pool of water. And then the lionesses, they hunker down in the grass. And what happens is the animals go to the pond and they start feeding. Well, then the lion roars. And what happens to the animals? They run away from the roar. And where are they running right into? The lionesses. And the lionesses take care of it. So where in your life are you trying to run away from something? Where you're gazing or you're grazing at the pond and you're taking a nice drink and you think that you don't need to be awake, where you don't need to look at whatever it is. You know, the best way to solve an issue is to run into it, to face it head on. And that's the hardest thing for us to do because we don't want to deal with it. But I can guarantee you that if you run into it and you face it, it'll be up. It's like tearing a Band-Aid off. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. But it feels so much better when we do. So that's key for about running. Hiding. When we isolate, we basically tell the world to go away. Don't bother me. I just want to be alone. I don't want to deal with this. I need a break. Because I know it doesn't exist. But yet it, whatever that issue is standing outside the door going, I can wait here as long as you want to. I can be here forever. Because when you open that door, I'm still going to be here. If you decide to, do whatever it is, I'm still going to be here. So you're going to have to face it. So get over it. So finally, when we do open that door and we go, okay, what are my spiritual tools that I can use to actually open that door and say, I got this? We can know that God is always at the center of whatever it is. We can also know that God is always for us and never against us. What we accept is that whatever is out here can't hurt us in here unless we let it. Because this is love. And when we approach any typical challenge from a point of love, it will dissolve. Kind of like the Wicked Witch. It'll just go away. She'll be melting. So jumping. Oh, I love this one. When we decide, we've gotten to that first nudge, maybe halfway to the second nudge. And we just go, oh, to heck with this. And we just jump. We take it into our own hands. We take command of the situation and we say, I got this. And God's going, yay. They did this. But that's what happens, is we jump full force into it. And we are in control. So often we look at other things like the hiding and the running as, okay, I am in control because I can choose my emotional level. Oh, no, you're not. When you jump, when you take care of it, when you are in that turbulence, you are in control. You are allowing yourself to say, I got this. I can do this. Whatever it is, God is right where I am, and I am powerful. And that's what we accept and know. So in Jeremiah, you know that thing called the Bible, it says in chapter 33, if God did not promise to intervene when we face difficulties, we will have no grounds to ask for it. You are the target of God's promises and blessings. So when things get really ugly in our life, don't fear it. Take it on. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Or you can say, forget everything and run, if that's what you want to do. But we react in fear. Why don't we react in love and trust the process? Like right now, I feel that we as a nation need to just trust the process of what's going on. Pema Chodron said, spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of a mountain. When we journey to a top of a mountain, we are going to our highest good. We are going to our highest consciousness. She continues with, we leave our attachments and our worldliness behind and slowly make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all others behind. In the Bodhisattva, a Sanskrit word meaning the mind of enlightenment, the journey goes down, not up. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move toward the turbulence and doubt. Right down there is a thick of things. We discover the love that will never die. So I have a question for all of you. In the morning, how do you face your storms? Obviously, sometimes there's some residue from what's been going on in your world. So how do you get up in the morning? Do you get up in the morning going, oh God, here I go again? Or do you get up and go, I got this? Your whole day is set by the consciousness that you create the first thing you get out of bed. Think about it. Think about it. So the Wizard of Us is all about our journey. It's about our journey, and I'm going to say down the yellow brick road of life. It's the things we encounter, things how we handle, the characters that we bring with us. And so our story, which is, you would think, is about just a young girl in Kansas who deals with a tornado and a witch and munchkins and some people on the road with her and find. Actually, it's deeper than that. That story on a metaphysical level is about us. And that's why I love Jean Houston, because she was able to look at this story and say, yes, it is the Wizard of Us. It's the source of all that is. We are the ones behind the curtain. We are the ones creating our lives. So when we appear with the Wizard of Oz, we are open to a black and white existence. There's no color. It's gray. There's nothing going on. And then what happens is we learn that, Dorothy is, she's a kid and she's doing all these different things. And then she gets into a little bit of trouble with this Mrs. Gulch. And Mrs. Gulch is not really a happy person, if we look at it. She's this woman that is the matriarch of the town, and she's decided that, what she says goes, and just loves to cause trouble from what we're understanding. So what happens is Toto, Dorothy's little dog, bites Mrs. Gulch, supposedly, And there's really no proof that we see. And then what happens is she comes with a warrant and says, I want your dog. And because of her power, basically Auntie Em and Uncle Henry and Dorothy have to give up Toto. So what that means is they're giving up their power to something that's negative that doesn't serve them. So then what happens is she puts Toto in the back of a basket in the back of her bicycle and she pedals on down the road. Toto, being the smart dog that he is, figures it out, pops out of the basket and runs all the way home and pops into Dorothy's room, and Dorothy right then and there decides she's going to run. She's going to run away from this trouble that is occurring. And in the background, you see this tornado starting. The storm is starting to swirl. How many of us know that about our lives? Where we know that there's something in the background that's stirring, but we just know that somehow it's just going to go away. So what happens is she runs down the road and she runs into a kind of a carnival circus, and she meets this wonderful Professor Marvel, and he has this globe, and he sees Auntie Em, and he says, oh, you've broken her heart. I have, says Dorothy. She's compassionate. She cares. She says, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that. So she runs back home. Well, by this time, that tornado is getting, which used to be in the foreground, is starting to get a little closer. And so everybody by this time is in the cellar. And what's happened is Dorothy is now going through a series of little challenges. She gets to the house and the gate starts falling apart. Oh, life is starting to fall apart and separate. Then there's trees and everything else that are uprooted. And things are starting to go away. Next thing you know, she's in her bedroom and the window blows out and hits her in the head. Okay? Her spiritual 2x4. So then what happens is we now experience, still in the black and white, we experience what's going on in her head with the tornado, with all the people and all the things and the cows and moving around in the tornado. And then all of a sudden we see the witch. And she becomes a prominent feature. Like, we know this person is not going away. She's going to be a pain in Dorothy's butt. So she's going to be following her. And then all of a sudden, poof, the house stops. And so what happens is Dorothy is somewhere she has no idea where she's at. She hasn't even opened the door yet. But when we look at what's going on in her life, she's actually in the eye of the storm. It appears calm, but everything around her is swirling and whirling. So do you know that tornadoes, before they descend, there is a period of stillness as there is nothing going to change? Sound familiar? Oh, we don't want anything to change. And so what happens is then we are called out of our comfort zone. And she opens that door to a whole new world, to be continued. In Luke 5:37-39, and no one puts new wine into an old wineskin, or else the new wine will burst the wineskins and be spilled, and the wineskin will be ruined. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. And what are you saying, Reverend Rhonda, about that? Basically, you can't put an old consciousness into something new. You can't keep dragging all that baggage forward because nothing is going to happen. So what I want you to think about this week is that what kind of personal storms are you going through, and what are you allowing to have yourself stand in the eye of the storm and allow things to work around you instead of looking at it and saying, This is where I need to go. This is what I need to do. How many of us are willing to walk through the wind, walk through that door, and create something new? Ernest Holmes said, "Nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. Nature demands a change in order that we may advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on our lips and a song in our heart." And so let us just take this moment just to become one with that beautiful, beautiful presence that I call Spirit, that I call God, that is in and through all things, that is right here, right now, and that it is within us as we go through the turbulence of life. It is within us as we go through shifts and changes that are uncomfortable, because it is at the center love. It loves us. It guides us. It is peace. It is harmony. It works through us, as us, and will always be there. All we have to do is ask. It's a simple 3-letter word, ask. And so I know as we ask for guidance and light and love and whatever it is that we require at this time in our lives, to be able to see down that path, to see clearly, to see what is going on really in our lives, I know that God is at the center of every storm. And there is beautiful, beautiful sky. It is clear, and we are awake to all that is and all that will be. And so it is here right now that I say thank you, God, for that ability to listen, to hear, to know how to act and how to feel. And that feeling is limitless. We have no boundaries. We are in control. And for this and so much more, I release this into God's perfect law, knowing all is made so, as together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Oh, let me love in a holy